Hello and welcome to the FleeceFolk Diary. My name is Azra and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as the Duchess of Sussex. Welcome to the Tour de Fleece 2025 recap. I can't believe the time has gone so fast. I always think Tour de Fleece goes for a full month, but really it's just 3 weeks. And I thought I'd sit down and document and diarize all the things I've achieved in the last 3 weeks with my prepared fiber that I am staring at and am overwhelmed by. When I sat down a few weeks ago and recorded a video about all the prep that I had done leading up to Tour de Fleece, this was my very first time taking Tour de Fleece a bit more seriously, and I went in, I think I had like 3.5 fleece prepared, or at least 3.5 kilos prepared, plus a combo spin. And my approach to it was really whatever came naturally. I did decide to start with my combo spin just because I was drawn to color, and I thought it would sort of get me in the mood and get me excited. Sorry, you will hear cars go by, but it can't be helped. In summary, I managed to spin up a crate of yarn. And I'm not joking. I mean a milk crate full of yarn. And I haven't thought about how I'm going to show this to you or in what order. I think I'll go in reverse order because some of my newer skeins are sitting a bit flimsily after I have labeled it. First on the block is my beloved Lucine Veil coated spinning fleeces, Finn Cross with Romney and Corriedale. Here's a little, I love this staple, I'm never getting rid of this, that I have. I managed to spin up, when I was preparing the 900 grams, there was a tiny bit of the fleece that I did skirt out. I should weigh these, so if I do weigh it afterwards, or editing Azra can add the stats for the weights, but out of this fleece, I did scour it in Power Scour. That's my first time with Power Scour, and I combed it with my homemade wool combs, and I have managed 5 skeins of 3-ply yarn. Whoop, knew that would happen. I got lazy with my labeling. This was my last batch and I just stuck the paper in. I actually had a bit of cardstock that that's probably from this skein. I'm so thrilled with this, and your eyes don't deceive you. I know as knitters we famously cannot count, but I have already skeined up one of my smaller skeins, which was the 5th skein, to see how it knits up. I know I'm usually quite allergic to gauge swatches, but it will be a while until I am able to make and knit with or even weave with the skeins that I have spun up. So I thought to sort of get it out of my system early, I would instead do gauge swatches, and that's just sort of scratched the itch quite well. These were my only long draw from this tour, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have long yearned for a double treadle wheel, and I really thought that I'm staring at my Ashford Traditional, that single treadle wasn't quite fast enough or built for it, but I noticed that when I do long draw, in my last video I did a bit of sort of slow TV and footage of me spinning. I noticed that when I do long draw, I really prefer to have my wheel at my side so that I can draw it out without having to draw it back. So I draw it sideways, and the Ashford Traditional was beautiful for that. Behind me you will see my newest baby. I will have to do a whole different video on this. The best gift I've ever received, easily. That is an Ashford Traveller. But out of my 900 grams of combed fleece from this fin cross, I haven't weighed how much waste I had. I did save my waste from my combings. They were a little neppy in some parts, but I really do believe if I carded that up on my drum carder, I'd be able to knit kind of like a second skein or a neppy skein or something tweedy. I could potentially felt. This I know will felt really easily because even during the finishing phase, it was kind of prone to a bit of felting, but it sort of survived. And when I knit up the swatch, it was beautiful. So out of my 900 grams of fleece, I have managed for this spin 602 meters of a 3-ply yarn. And when I used my little gauge thingy from, I have a little yarn gauge from 11:1 windmills, this falls between sort of a DK worsted, but I would say kind of a light DK to DK, and worsted in some parts. Because it is woolen spun, you can see that some bits can be loftier. I can't wait to show you the swatch. Actually, let me just get to that. So this is the bit that I skeined up. You can see there are thick and thin bits. It's not my most consistent spin, but out of it came a beautiful fabric. It's just gorgeous. And I do a garter edge, or I've done a garter edge just so the swatch will lay flat. But what I've learned from doing that actually is that this natural fleece, which was a moret, so it had bits of brown and cream, but also a bit of gray, a bit of dark gray. This seems to fare really well in a garter stitch. The problem is that because I've done a 3-ply, even though I've spun a lot of fleece, I only have 600 meters, and I'm not sure if that's enough for me to make a garter garment, because garter does eat quite a bit of yarn. But I reckon I can manage a cardigan. I really think I can. I knit this on 3.75 millimeter needles, and that is my bang on needle size for DK weight yarn. I'm quite a loose knitter. I knit continental. I do a bit of combination knitting, but when I'm knitting, I do knit continental. So the size of my needles determines my gauge more often than not. And I mean, imagine this blocked. Oh, and you can see the variegation within this. This was a 3-ply done traditionally. It wasn't chain plied for it to be a 3-ply. And I guess what that means is that you also get a lot more of the blending with bits of the moret fleece. Whereas if you were to chain ply, you would get sort of a bit more distinct stripes. I'm getting completely washed out, but that's okay. That's all right. So really happy with that. I'm team power scour. I want the giant sort of gallon bottle with the pump, because even after washing it in like dish soap or something, or wool wash, when I was finishing the skeins in the end, it's still got that beautiful scent from Power Scour. So I'm thoroughly pleased with this, and I can't wait to knit it up and wear it. Like it feels, this jumper feels scratchier than this, and this is mohair held with some wool. So really happy with it. Oh, really happy with that. Okay, and the second thing that I finished was my kilo of Bordelester. Again, I haven't weighed how much I have in finished skeins. Editing Azra can maybe add a little stat bar here. But this too was spun as a 3-ply. It was a 3-ply tour, I keep saying that. Out of this batch, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/8 skeins. Again, I can't count, I promise. I've just skeined one up to gauge swatch. Let me see if I can get you this color properly. It is a gorgeous, rich, cool tone brown, and when I was drying it outside and the sun was shining on some parts, I think in my prep video I showed the variegation in the fleece itself. There were some bits of some locks that were almost sort of like amber and auburn, and in some of the plying you can see it. Let's see if I can pick out. Oh, there's a little bit there. The sun's just catching that. Sort of golden threads over there. This was quite deceptive because when I was spinning it, it would spin thin enough, and I really wasn't sure about whether I would like the end product, and it was only after plying, and you can see, I think I filmed myself plying it on my e-spinner, and you can see a visible reaction to me realizing, oh, like it's nice, it makes a nice yarn, but I only figured that out while plying. So if you are unsure in the single, when you are spinning the singles, just keep going, or just do a little sampler and ply it, because you never know. Wow, you really can catch that bit of brown, bit of amber. But this was a huge spin. It's great. It is probably like a medium coarseness, but I still reckon I would be happy to wear a garment out of this. I think in my prep video I said I know for sure that I want to spin up the Border Leicester, and at the end I want to hold all the skeins in my hands, in my arms, like this. And here we are. Oh, a dream realized. Wow. Oh God, I'm never gonna get over myself. I can't stop looking at it. I can't stop looking at it in the camera. I can't stop looking at it just in person. Every time you know, when you go to the Asian grocery store and you see the rice bags and you always want to slap that, whenever I walk past this I want to give it a little squish, because I know she can take it too. Like, it's quite hardy yarn. Stats wise, I have, of this Border Leicester, 661 meters. So this is also 3-ply, but when I pull it up to the yarn gauge, it's coming at around a bulky. She's a big girl. I haven't done my wraps per inch. Wraps per inch do tend to lie to me, I think. They don't quite work for me, or I'm doing it wrong. I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong. But this is my Border Leicester, and of course I skeined that up as well because I was itching to see how this knit up. And it's beautiful. Let me just pop you down, baby. Sorry. Unblocked swatch. I had to knit this up on a 5.5mm needles, and I reckon I could have gone to 6. And when I knit normally, I knit between, I'm currently knitting a project on 2.25mm needles. It's a sweater, and it's really quite a task, but my normal happy range is between, let's say, like a 3.25 to like a 4.5mm needle. 3.75mm is really where I live in needle land. But this is gonna knit up so quick, and because it is bulky, it's sort of sitting on the border of Aran and bulky, because of course it's inconsistent, like it's hand spun for Christ's sake, but I love the fabric. There's a halo to it. You know, I mean, this is my mohair halo, but it's just a thrill. I reckon I have enough to make a Felix cardigan. I feel like a lot of spinners spin an Aran weight and go, yep, Felix cardigan. So if you have any ideas of what somebody with let's say like a 42-inch bust can get around with for a cardigan or sweater, could I get a sweater out of this? That would be quite nice. What I might do is I'll knit a sweater, and if it's too tight, cut it down the middle, add a button band, and happy days. So I have 661 meters of that. Again, really pleased with that as well. Oh, I can't wait to knit you. Okay, and finally I have my finished combo spin. These were braids from Marina Skewer and 2 of Shakespeare in Love braids from Cat and Sparrow. I am spinning as part of Team Cat and Sparrow this tour, so I feel like it's a fitting way to finish my bigger spins from this round. I managed to get out of this spin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skeins of this. The camera does not like this, and of course the sun's just going as I'm getting started. It's sort of this red shifting into a gray, like a dark gray, blue, midnight blue sort of situation. It is absolutely my color palette. These are the colors that I gravitate towards. In my infinite talent and wisdom, the last skein ended up being a fractal, and I don't know how. I don't know how I managed that. I'm really scared to knit this, so I think I might have to keep her as that. She looks like a fractal. I mean, who am I kidding? It is a fractal, isn't it? And I always say a combo spin is just sort of between your wheel and God. It's just I can't spin a combo spin in a predictable fashion. Maybe that's something I'll get to. I don't know if that's something I want to get to, but maybe. I might save this and knit up a hat or an accessory to match my garment that I am going to make out of these. In total for this, I had just under 700 grams of fiber, maybe just over 600 grams actually. Yeah, just over 600 grams. And I've managed 868 meters of a beautiful, rounded, squishy 3-ply yarn. I know I can play with 868. In terms of weight, it comes around to a very comfortable DK. So I think it's also interesting to note how the different breeds, this was mainly, I keep calling it my Shetland spin, even in my labeling, I've called it a Shetland spin. Marina's braids are a mix of Shetland and other breeds, but I felt like I could really identify the Shetland in the fiber when I was spinning it and in the way that it sort of drafted. But I guess it's interesting to see how your yardage can stretch based on the elasticity of the fiber and the breeds that you spin with. I know I can get a sweater out of this. And what I am now a bit not worried about, but what I'm thinking about is actually lessons for the future. Ooh, some of my labels have fallen. These what happens when you don't. That's all right. I'll have to count that again. I skeined up my combo spin and I knit a gauge swatch out of this too. This is also on 3.75mm needles, but the feel of it is completely different to my Finn Cross. Obviously it's a different breed, but when this is the first thing that I knit out of my pile, again, drawn to color, I'm like, I don't know, is it, who can see red? Is it dogs or cows? It's the cows, right? Because that's what the matadors, anyway, I feel like a cow. When I knit this up, I said out loud to my partner, I said, oh, I really can spin. Like, look at that. And this is without it, you know, meeting water and the blocking sort of blooming. This made me think that I really can do it. But what I'm now wondering is when I do the sleeves for this, and I've seen, I think it's Young Folk Knits, when she separates out her braids for her combo spins, she'll take a bit of each braid and do shorter lengths. And she said, I think in her combo spin video, this is for my sleeve skeins or something like that. So I guess the idea of that is to maintain the frequency of repeats, because it is striping. Combo spins, well, the way I did it, tend to stripe, but maintaining that length for the shorter circumference that is a sleeve. I don't know if I can ever be bothered, so I think I'll just have to make do or alternate skeins, or just knit it as is, let it be whatever it is. I want it to look homemade. I want it to look handmade, really. But there's my Shetland. So these are the results of my tour. Oh, it's so grainy. Very sorry about that, but oh, and I can't stop squishing this. I can't stop just touching it. Something really funny was I thought I would block these before this video, but I just knew I wouldn't have time. And I was like, oh God, but I can't wash them together because the color will run. No, they won't for these. This is dyed, but these are natural colored wool. So I can wash these together because the natural color of the wool is not gonna come off. But no, I'm so pleased. Anyway, for week 2 of Tour de Fleece, I was away from my wheel, which means I was away from these 3 projects. And as a result, I was on my Turkish spindles. Now, I do still have some turtles from my Turkish spindle to ply, but somebody from the Spinners Guild asked me, oh, are you going to ply these turtles on a spindle? And I said laziness is one of my most prominent traits, and it's very unlikely that I will. But I think that sort of, you know, had a little light bulb go up. And for the first time in a long time, I plied on my Turkish spindles. Is it much slower? Yeah. But is it worth it? I think it might be. So, but I do have some questions and we'll explore that. This is the Wensleydale fiber that I was spinning outside and spinning on the porch when I had a little vacation out in the mountains for week 2 of Tour de Fleece. And this has become an accidental fractal, but I'm so thrilled about it. One thing that surprised me about this is that when I was handling Wensleydale, to me, the stable length and the luster and the halo was very reminiscent of English Leicester. And English Leicester, to me, spins up a little wiry, but this Wensleydale is so soft. It's really soft and really squishable. And this is in the colorway Ochre Cliffs. Let me see if I can get it to focus on that. Probably not. But it's just gorgeous. I should have used my smaller Niddy Noddy for it, but it's a beauty. I have one that I have plied, I think maybe last night, and I haven't yet Niddy Noddied into a skein, but the halo is just ridiculous. So this is also a little bonus skein for my Tour de Fleece journey. I don't know the yardage. It's very lofty. I can't wait to knit up a sample of this as well, just to see what it would turn out to be. And then I had a little brain worm. I don't know. I was playing with my drum carder and I had some fleece that I was putting away. I think I showed that in like my first video or my second video here on YouTube. And it was a gray Corriedale from Baylor Black. And I had carded up just one really flimsy bat, like it was nothing. It was, you know, maybe, I don't know, 20 grams of fiber, if that. And the moment I carded it, there was a little worm in my brain that said, spin it right now. So I started spinning it. I spun the thin bat. I think it's even generous to call it a bat. Spun it up, and I was like, okay, that's a bobbin, now what? And the little worm said, chain ply it. Chain ply? I never think about chain plying because I find it a little challenging, and there can be bumps in your yarn, and then if your singles break, then you have to create a new loop, and I also can't crochet, and it's like crocheting on a wheel. And anyway, here we go. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. All these bits are the ties to make sure that the skein doesn't tangle. But I'm also submitting as one of the final skeins for my Tour de Fleece 2025 some gray Corriedale from Baylor Black. I believe this is, oh, what's the name? Cocoa? It might be Coco's fleece. And I love that I can trace my yarn to a named animal who is thriving in southern New South Wales. So yeah, these are my bonus submissions. Ooh, that's an idea. That's a color work yoke. That could be really cute. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. This is what happens. This is what happens when I'm near fiber. The sensors start going off. Anyway, I just thought I would sit down and talk about all the things I've achieved this tour. This tour started at a time in my life where things were changing, and I knew I would have a lot more free time to focus on myself. And by the end of the tour, it's become very clear that spinning is very much a part of not just self-care, but a way to prioritize time with just myself. And it helps me center, it helps me think, it helps me be proud of myself. I think when I was knitting up the swatches last night, I just left it to the side of the couch, and I would just keep sort of, looking like at that, going, I did that, and I can do things, and I can do beautiful things, and I can make beautiful things. And I think, I don't know, for the longest time I realized I wasn't doing a lot of things that would make me feel proud of myself. And I sort of just fell and stumbled into spinning through knitting, and I'm really grateful. So thank you for watching my diary this tour. Thank you for being a part of my journey. I really treasure the conversations that I've had with people, and the people that I've connected with because of the tour. I'm excited to see what others in Team Cat and Sparrow have achieved. I see that Melly knits, is it called Stash Dashers? Y'all are crazy. Like, you guys are everywhere, and the spinning that's coming out of this is just beautiful. So I've just absolutely cherished my time on this tour, and I can't wait to get back to the wheel after a small hiatus. But yeah, I guess stay tuned to see what comes out of the crate of yarn that I've managed. And if you have any ideas for what I can knit, or if you have a favorite pattern that you've made, not just out of hand spun yarn, but of, like a DK worsted iron weight, that's sort of low meterage, low yardage, please leave a comment below. You can also send me a message on Ravelry. You can write in via email if that's how you go about it, to fleecefolkaus at gmail.com. I'll leave all the information in the description box below. But other than that, I guess stay tuned for more fiber adventures, more knitting in and around the world. Oh, spoilers. But yeah, thank you for being a part of this journey, and happy Tour de Fleece 2025. I'm already sort of marinating for next year and for end of year projects. In Australia, September, October tends to be, as far as I know, when shearing season kicks off. So I've got my eyes on a few farms, let's say, that I want to follow up with. I do have a fiber study with a very specific farm in Victoria with a very young shepherdess, and I think that'll be an interesting experiment. I might be a little here and there for the next few weeks on YouTube, but I am always on Instagram, and my hands are always busy. There's always something happening, whether I document it by video or not. So please come join me there. Send me a little message. I'd love to see what you're working on. Happy end of Tour de Fleece. I hope it has been fulfilling for you. I hope that it has helped you either reconnect with the craft or, rekindle a passion for spinning. And just in general made you feel really good and really proud of the things that you can achieve, whether that's been low and slow or hard and fast. To close out, I guess, if we are interested in stats, I'm not always one for numbers, I will be honest, but I sat down and I did the maths and I was a little astonished. So in total, across my 3 major projects that I showed, not the bonus mini skeins, I have managed to spin up 2,131 meters of 3-ply yarn. So that's just over 2 kilometers. And because it's 3-ply, that means I've actually spun in singles 6.393 kilometers of fiber. So that's 6,000 plus meters. And I know some people count the plying as sort of a 4th run because you're bringing the 3 plies together, and that should put me, well, pretty close to 10k. Okay, editing / post video recovery, thoughts in brain, have coherent thoughts, Azra here. I did take some footage sometime last week of me finishing skeins. I do finish hand-dyed braid skeins. Sorry, let me just put these down. Hand-dyed braids versus fleece I've processed differently. For hand-dyed skeins, I will show you the process that I follow. Okay, in the interest of time and I guess sound, because I am in my laundry room and the exhaust fan is going, I'm going to record a voiceover for this portion. So this is me fresh out of bed before coffee. I had these skeins soaking overnight just for the twist to settle and for the water to permeate the fiber. And I'm snapping the living daylight out of it. And then here I think I'm double thinking whether I show you this, but I thwack the yarn usually against the tile. I'm doing this against my washing machine, and I am not gentle with this at all. For fleece that I have processed myself, that I have scoured from raw fleece, I kind of treat the finishing process or that final soak as another gentle scour. So I will put it into sort of hot water with some dish soap, just to sort of get that last bit, because when I'm scouring, I'm not really aiming for the most pristine, clear waters to run. I want the water to be clear and I want most of the lanolin out. But I'm okay to spin with a tiny bit of lanolin, not enough for it to interfere with carding or combing. But one of the best things that I bought for myself this tour has been these S hooks from Bunnings. So they come in a pack of 4. or 6. And I bought quite a few of these. And I've just popped these onto my washing line, and if I want to weigh a skein down, I will just hook one of these ends to the bottom of a skein that's already hanging. And I'll insert a photo of my skeins drying. It was really quite fun. I had to save on water and detergent, I try to finish my skeins in batches. It just feels a bit more environmentally friendly. But no, I thought I'd just hop in quick and show you a really inexpensive way to fit a lot of yarn onto your washing line, as just sort of, you know, using these S-hook thingos. Really useful. I got the idea from having 2 S-hooks that were part of a balcony planter box that I was no longer using. But now I'm, hooked on these.